Hello, family, and welcome to another episode of Role Model Makers Experts Cafe. I'm your host, Dr. L, and today with me, I have an amazing lady, a fun lady. Her name is Miss Lolli Leeson. Did I say that correctly, Lolli? I just want to make sure.
Yes, you did.
Awesome.
Yes, you
Very
did.
cool. Now, she has been in our community. I love how she shows up in the world. Lolli, do you mind telling them a little bit more about what you do and how you got involved doing this? And then we can go from there.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think I first sort of became aware of nutrition. I really help parents armor up around nutrition for their families. And I came into this learning about nutrition not from culinary school. That's that's where my interest in food really began. I went to culinary school and got a professional chef's degree, but I didn't learn anything in culinary school about nutrition. And it really wasn't until years later when I had my own children that I became humbled because they were not eating the rainbow diet that I put in front of them every day. And I love to cook and be in the kitchen. So I was I had a son, 12-year-old son, who had attentional issues in school, and he was struggling, and he didn't want to eat breakfast. He didn't want to get out of bed to go to school, and breakfast didn't coax him out. Even the Eggo waffle with sticky syrup, or the gross cereal
Wow.
that or the milk thing wouldn't get him out of bed.
All right.
So I was literally tearing my hair out, trying to figure out, how can I help this kid? But I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the knowledge. And I think as mama bears, when we learn information, we can armor up, and then we share it with the world. And I think that's what happened to me 17 years ago, is that I started getting educated, and a friend had called me one day, and she had told me about a really great mom health hack nutritional tool, and that led me down to really learning, drilling down, and learning about nutrition for my kids. So that was really the start of it. And the more I got educated about this, I really came to believe that food either builds us up or tears us down. And it's a choice that we make every single day. And it matters. And it matters a lot, particularly for children, because the reason it matters so much is that the diseases that we see in adulthood, they actually manifest themselves in childhood. And so we may think, that our kids are getting away, with not eating, a great diet because they're young and they seem to bounce back. But, now we know that they really don't bounce back. That these diseases that we see, the itises, right?
Yeah.
Even whether it's just the cold a month, that these are really areas of immunity in children. And so that's, I think many of us as parents, and I was there myself, I'm not trying to preach, because I was a mom. I really didn't know what I didn't know until I knew it. And that's one of my passions, is to really hold space for parents, because I know that parents face extreme challenges today, and they have time constraints when they're raising a family. And I think sadly what's most important, a strong nutritional underpinning, often takes a back seat. I love this quote that Dr. Bill Sears has. He's a famous pediatrician, and he says, we try to do the best things for our kids. We go to every game. We try to get our kids into the best schools and the best teachers, and we never miss the practice, or a piano recital. All the stuff that we get for our children, and all the things that we do for them. And really, truly, what is most important for the well-being of our children hinges on good nutrition. And I just feel that it's parents have really good intuition, um, but I often think that we have a blind spot around that area, around feeding our kids, because it's hard, right? We live in this toxic food environment, and we can only control some things when the kids are little, but then they go off to school, and there's vending machines in the schools, and so the culture undermines what parents, I think, are trying to do, and it's exhausting.
Lolly,
And we
I wanted
tend to give up.
I wanted to actually mention because you're hitting some really key points, and I really want to advise our audience members to understand this is not shame, and we feel your guilt. I'm a parent myself, and you've been there before, so you know exactly that there is this rush, go lifestyle. And then there are certain things for children that cannot be rushed, cannot be go, cannot happen sooner or later than they're supposed to. And parents basically end up being the buffer or becoming the buffer between what the world pace is and what a child's development pace is supposed to be. That's a really hard place to be because it kind of grinds you from both ends. The result is that you can end up incurring a lot of stress yourself. And then ultimately that shows up in how you cope with stress, and your kids are learning all of this the whole time as well. But one thing I wanted to mention is that, especially when it comes to nutrition, that convenience and that healthy development, or where the kids need to be, it just doesn't seem to mix. That you have to prioritize that when it comes to nutrition, that you have to make that first, because everything is built on that foundation. And if you can just put everything else on that cornerstone and build your life around it, I think everything else becomes easier. It becomes actually an investment as opposed to something that is costing you time and money. And maybe, well, thank you for letting me talk about this, but that's that
Yeah.
mindset shift.
Yeah. Well, it affects everything, I mean, all of the things that you talk about in your program, and all the people that are in this community, they're all talking about something in terms of family or children. And no matter what the body is dealing with on a mental or physiological point of view, it all will do better with a good foundation of nutrition. And that's why I'm such a champion for kids, because they're really the ones that particularly around we get plenty of protein, salt, fat, and sugar. What we don't get enough of, for kids is what I call the oil in the car, is the micronutrition, those fruits and vegetables.
Mhm.
Kids don't tend to like them. They, sort of their, as I said, this food culture is sort of shifts their metabolic programming, to like those foods,
Right.
so they don't make more room for the healthy foods. So, I just help people. I'm a big champion for family dinner. If there's one thing that I could, help parents do, is take family dinner back. Even if it's just, a few nights a week. I think that is the one thing, having gone through raising 3 children, is one of the best things that I ever did. I took a stand for family dinner, and made the dinner table a place where I could really armor up for my family. It was a safe space, no cell phones at the table.
Right.
This was family time, and that really, made a huge difference. And just honestly, when you look at these studies, there was a great Washington Post study just on family dinner, and it's really amazing. I don't think people realize how important just having that communal cooking food together, sitting down to a healthy meal, it hits on so many different levels of physiology. But kids that eat family dinner, regularly,
Mhm.
doesn't have to be, every single night, but regularly, that they make it, important in the family, they're less likely to have eating disorders. They have a lower risk of, high risk teenage behaviors like drinking, smoking, drugs. They're less likely to be cyberbullies. They're less likely to abuse prescription drugs. Kids will talk to you more because you're going to learn about what's going on in their lives. You're more likely to hear about underlying issues. There's just generally less tension at home. It increases vocabulary. Older children have higher achievement scores. They're twice as likely to get A's. Kids consume more fruits and vegetables on their own, and it just lowers anxiety. They're less likely to be obese. I mean, it just goes on and on. So, if that's my one takeaway is, trying to find a time, and maybe it can be breakfast. It doesn't. Try to find those moments that you can connect as a family.
Well, you're actually hitting on a lot of key points. Some of them are the real challenges that if you ignore this topic is going to come up, and some of the benefits. You've done an excellent job of explaining it. Now, from the parent's perspective, I understand it, and that's why we say that should be one of their foundational pieces to their parenting. But in addition to that, I also wanted to ask you if you have a tip for how to bring it to the attention of the children as far as why they should care to actually be active and proactive in figuring out their nutritional plan.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think talking to children about what is important to them, where is their pain point, because everybody has a pain point, right? So if you're talking to them something that's long term, that they can't relate to, like, heart disease or, whatever, they don't care about that because they're not there yet.
Right.
So making it very immediate for what children really care about, like, how about that test that's coming up next week, or how about that football game, that they're training for, or that 5K that they're training for, whatever it is in the child's life that they really want to game up for in life. That's the way you talk to children. Maybe if a child's dealing with, severe acne, that could be a time to talk about diet with kids, and helping them relate to nutrition in a way that matters to them in the moment.
I really like that.
Getting them on board.
Yeah. I remember there was a time my kids were younger, and of course the younger they are, the more immediate this cause and effect has to be. But they just went to a party, they just had lots of junk food, and then on the way home they're having tummy aches and stuff. So I'm like trying to make the connections, like, this is what you're feeling because of what just happened. So raising that awareness for him that there is this cause and effect about what you put in your mouth and how you end up feeling or what you end up achieving. It's a really powerful tool, and we can't be proactive enough in pointing that out to our children. So thank you for that.
And modeling it as well. Children watch what you do, not what you say.
Yep.
And wagging the finger and, telling them something versus asking them a question. Right. Have you considered doing it this way? Or this is what I learned from, instead of you should do this or you should do that. Yes. Talking to kids more as, a mentor in a way, as opposed to a parent.
Right. Well said. I know that this is a vast topic, Lolli. How can people find out more about you and some of the resources that you have?
I have a website, and all my contact information is there. I have a Facebook page and Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn as well. But I love a phone call. A phone call is the best way to me. Just face-to-face phone call is always the best way, I think, because people can really get their questions answered.
Awesome. Guys, I have a lot of information that Lolli has provided for me. So I'm going to copy and put all of that in the description of this video. So please go ahead and connect, especially when it comes to nutrition. It's a very big topic, and usually it's associated with lifestyle, cultural stuff, habits, addictions. And we're not even aware of some of this stuff. So the more support you have, the easier it gets to make the transformation and transition. And Lolli is the person that you would want to go to for that support. So I highly encourage you guys to do that. And just like she just said, role model the behavior that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay not to have all the answers, that the world is not a big, scary place, that there are people that are genuinely interested in helping us and want to make the world a better place. And so role modeling that behavior becomes really, really important. Lolly, thank you so much for the time and shedding some light on this important topic. Any final words for our audience members before we finish?
I just think just love on your family. It's such a cliche, long days, short years, but it's really true. Take time for your family because it goes in a snap.
Well said. Well said. Guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you click subscribe on the channel so you get notified of all the experts and the gifts that they bring to the channel. And until next time, thanks, Lolly. Cheers.
Yep. Cheers.